Welcome back, subscribers. I'm going to talk real quick about cycles of time in business and kind of running your life and why it's important to have these cycles. As much as we don't like them and, change and having to deal with, cutting things loose and whether it's relationships. Think of it as like transactions of your life. And like when you open up a contract in business, you want the contract when you get it going, you want it to keep going, right? Just like if you get married with somebody, that's a contract, and you don't, divorce and separations are they're very costly, and you don't like them. Some situations are toxic, but in others, it's like you look at the, financial situation that you put yourself into where you might have you lean on financial input from somebody, some contribution, two paychecks is better than one. And then you basically kind of scale up and you get used to things being a certain way and you like it. Your apartment goes from the 600 square foot apartment to 1,200 square feet. You're able to double it up, right? And you're spreading the resources of the partnership, and it makes it's easier, and then to go backwards, most people don't go backwards and say like, okay, this does happen. I mean, don't get me wrong, but move from the 1,200 square foot apartment to the 600 square foot apartment. Usually people aren't into that. Or you say like, oh, I'm going to buy the Toyota Corolla and then I'm going to upgrade and I'm getting a Mercedes. Well, you don't go backwards. People just stay in that kind of that zone of experience, if you will. And anyway, it's all transactions. And in business, what you see and what you're having to contend with as a consumer is business is going through these natural cycles of growth and then going into a kind of a recessive rebuilding phase. And we're in a super cycle of this on an international level, and it happens naturally. The cycles are usually 7-year periodicities. And it seems like this goes back to what's called the Jubilee. So in the Jewish calendar, every 7 years, there's a Jubilee. And if sure as shit, if you don't look at the stock market and see the cycles of how the market is up and the market is down, it certainly seems to follow this trend. So at any rate, those cycles of time, if it's on the financial side and whoever the controllers are that are following this, I don't know, embedded source code, if you will, of the reality, and says every 7 years we have an up and then it goes into a down, up and down and up and down. It's a sine wave. And, but I'm going to tell you why this is a healthy thing to happen, an ebb and flow. It's really good. And I don't like separating things out of whatever I've been doing. If I set something up in a business on my life, I just want it to kind of keep going the same. I mean, I get it. I mean, you don't want to change where you're at and go backwards. It's just like it feels like you've had to it feels like it's a fail. That's the way it's always felt to me. But I'm going to tell you this. Based upon me going through a number of these cycles in business and life, is that it gives you it's a real reality check. It forces you to have to look at what your outgo is, what you're actually working for, what you're living for, and reprocess things and say like, well, what things actually really matter to me? So when you're really pressed, and let's say on a financial, everybody can relate to money because it's a storage of energy. And when you have less money, you have less energy. So just like if you get sick, you really can't work, right? You don't feel like doing anything. So you have less energy, can't do work. So that's what money basically represent. It's a representation of energy storage. That's what it is. So when you have less of it coming in, you're not able to do all these things, right? You start looking at, you have these separations that are occurring, and you have recessive nature of just something that you're going through. And you start looking at things like, what do we really need? What do I really need in my life? Do I need all these subscriptions? what are the things that I have to have? Oh, I have to have a gym membership. Oh, I have to eat XYZ foods, and I have to shop at Whole Foods, and I have to do this. Be like, are you, everyone has kind of like this selling out type of nature where they're reducing that amount of outflow. Things are really great, and you're like, yeah, it's never going to stop. And like I said, it reverts back to these cycles, and knowing full well that the cycles are there, they've always been there. So you can start to not, fear your way through it, but you become a little bit more savvy as you age and saying like, okay, tired of these rug pulls. I want to put myself into a situation where I have everything like as efficient as possible. And then I allocate what I want as extra, not just subscription, or I'm always getting the surf and turf. You know what I mean? Like you're always like to the nines on everything, over the top. And that's an easy way. It's great to live that way whenever things are robust. And I'd suggest like, hey, live it up, do it. But know this, like if you get addicted to that type of reality, then whenever the rug pull happens and these cycles come into play, it's incredibly demoralizing. That's really, really bad. So just know that the cycles are there. I've experienced them, and I've studied this, and you can't get away from it. But what you can do is you can mitigate the amount of pain just by, managing yourself a little bit tighter and not being so, over the top and extra with everything. But where this is healthy, I'll tell you this, is that in a business setting, and also like as you're running your life, you're a business. You have to think of yourself as that way. So even if you're not a business owner, you're a business. Okay. You're calling around for the best deal on car insurance. You buy fuel and you say like, well, I could go across the street and it's a penny more, or it's a penny less, or 5 cents less. At what point, where do you sell out and say like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and turn the car around and I'm getting fuel over there? You see what I mean? So you're trading a commodity. You're in the buying, and you make a decision, be like, oh, screw it. I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not crossing the highway here to get cheaper fuel. Yeah, I'll just pay it, whatever. And everyone has a certain level of like, at what point, like, where do you decide to make a change of what you normally do? And part of this is awareness. Now, you are forced to become aware of your surroundings whenever you're pressed with money. Whenever you start having money reduced, what do? You start looking at, what do I need essential? I got to eat. I have to pay my rent. I have to have insurance. I have to pay for my car. I have to this and this. I need a phone, right? So there's a number of elements of things that are basic necessities. All right. And then everything else that you have after that, you're like, and then you start coming up and becoming savvy, and you're like, okay, what's the workaround? How can I get champagne on a beer budget? I need to be able to have these things. And what that does is it creates a more cohesiveness in your awareness of your space. And this happens, and it's a good thing. Like take insurance, for example. I just went through this. So I had children out of the house. I didn't change. I was slack. I was just like being lazy, just like every other human. And it took me to be realizing like I'm leaking oil here, and I need to go back through and re-audit everything that I'm doing, and audit how much my outgo is. Do I really need this much insurance? These children have left the house. I need to take them off the car insurance. And it was like, it did go a long time, but it was a process. I took care of my children until they were like in their, made sure that they had things under control into their early 20s. And that's more than a lot of people do. But I made sure that their educations are paid for. I'm like, they don't need to be in a situation that they're coming out in debt. Like that's a bad thing. I experienced it. I'm like, if I can, navigate them around that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So they but understand full well that, that this is a gift, that other people that you at your same age are in a harder situation because I didn't set you up right, so that's just something that I did. But it goes back to, like I said, insurance. It's just looking at things that are, getting rid of things like, oh, I don't really need this coverage anymore, or oh, I don't need XYZ subscriptions anymore. I mean, buying groceries, for example, it's like getting into this thought process that I don't need to buy all this stuff anymore. And you get into a routine that's related to your life. And by having disruptions in your financial income, it absolutely forces you to reevaluate. And that's a very healthy thing. As much as people don't like it, it's very, very healthy because it again, it gets you to say like, okay, this is the next XYZ stage of my life. And it's important for me to be increasing or decreasing. I need to be having more income, or I can deal with less income and I'm going to cut XYZ out because I really don't use it, you know? And that's what you do. And it's healthy. I'm telling you, it's like these cycles are like, it's God's gift to have these cycles. So it can't always be status quo and up and away. That's not healthy. That's really, really, really bad. So anyway, just some things to think about. But after me experiencing these cycles a number of times, I've grown to appreciate them absolutely, because it gives me, it's a reality check and saying like, well, I don't need these things anymore. I can cut these things out and go in a different direction. And it's like the universe is just, setting me up to allow that to happen because I'm not paying close enough attention. But maybe you are that person that accounts for everything and is, everything is budgeted out to the hilt and everything else. But yeah, I've just not been that way. When I've done budgeting in the past, I was just talking to my partner, and she asked me, she's always been very tight with money. She's a single mom, and I said, she asked me, well, how did you budget for money whenever you were, the main breadwinner in the family? And I said, well, I I knew of how much money basically we needed to have. So I said that like I had an idea like, okay, the rents, or, the house payment is this much, insurance is this much, the cars are this much, XYZ. And I said if I came up with say $5,000 or $6,000 in total debt service, I would say, all right, I need to make 7-8 grand minimum, bare minimum. And she's like, that's how you budgeted? And I was like, yeah. I said, uh, and I said, it wasn't that I was living above my means. I said, it's just that roughly speaking, I knew that I needed to have these things. So forget about it. Like it's a done deal, not me scrimping and saving and saying I need to get my mortgage. So what I needed was saying like, all right, I'll give myself a cushion. I'm not going to say if I need $6,000 for debt service, I don't say I need $6,000. I need eight. I need at least probably 8 grand a month.